It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nardog, and Raindrops Goulet!
You're listening to Full Court Press with myself, Raindrops Justin Goulet. I'm joined as always by the one and only Nardog, David Bernardi. How's it going, David?
It's going good, man. How are you?
Going great, thanks. I'm looking forward to this episode. We got a lot to talk about. Last episode was a great one. We had a fantastic interview with Andrew Nicholson. Again, thank you, Andrew, for joining us on Full Court Press. It was a real pleasure talking to him. We'll talk a little bit more about his camp later on in this episode, but let's get right into it. Let's go into the NBA Finals. We predicted this properly. Heat Spurs NBA Finals rematch of last year. We called it, man.
Yep, it was pretty obvious to be honest, both these teams. And when you see the Miami Heat, they had the easiest road to the finals I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
In all my years watching the NBA. Come on, the Bobcats. Was it a sweep?
Oh, yeah, they swept the Bobcats. That was the only sweep in the first round this year.
And the Nets in the second round, they beat them 4-1. Oh, man. And then the Pacers, the dysfunctional Pacers, they beat them in 6.
There's a lot the Pacers need to do. We're going to talk about that, what the Pacers have to do during the offseason, now that they're out of the NBA playoffs, now that we've got the final set, Spurs Heat. Spurs, on the other hand, it seems like the Thunder put up more of a fight, especially after Serge Ibaka return. But at the end of the day, we all knew that the Spurs were going to the NBA Finals, and we were going to see a rematch of last year.
Yeah, too much experience, and Tim Duncan, this might be his last chance for that title.
Well, there's a lot of speculation. I don't know how true this is. Like I said, it's just speculation. But some people are saying that Tim Duncan, if the Spurs were to win the NBA championship this season, he would retire at the end of the year. What do you think about that?
I don't buy it.
I don't think so either, because I think Tim Duncan's still got plenty of years on him, at least 2 or 3 good years, because he's almost 40 and the guy plays like he's 20 years old. He can school some of these younger players in the league.
Yeah, the best power forward in the NBA ever.
Oh, yeah.
I'll claim
it's
that.
It's tough to argue with that. You probably could put up a fight with it, but there's a lot of strong points that suggest that Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time.
The man is still putting up 14 and almost 10 rebounds a game.
At his age, that's incredible. He's still got the skills. Like I said, he can school some of the younger guys in the NBA.
And this is a man who wanted to be a professional swimmer. Back when he was a teenager.
Do you think the Spurs have a good shot of getting revenge from last year and actually winning the NBA championship?
Well, what Tim Duncan said, he wants the Heat.
He wants the Heat, yeah?
He said they're winning the title.
Redemption time for the San Antonio Spurs. Greg Popovich, Coach of the Year. They've got the GM of the Year. They've got so much momentum on their side. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to take out the Heat.
Alrighty, so prediction time.
I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying Spurs are taking it this year.
Yep, I'll agree.
Yeah, so we're going to see what happens. By the time the end of the month hits, then we'll know who the NBA champion is. Hopefully, we're right on that prediction. It would be nice to see the San Antonio Spurs win the NBA title.
I'm saying they win in 6.
You never know what could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to Game 7, because I think the Heat are still going to put up a good fight. And, the Heat are going to put up a good fight, but the Spurs are going to put up an even bigger fight en route to winning the NBA championship. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see 7 games in this series.
Now, speaking about the Thunder earlier, we have what do you think about the Thunder in the offseason?
I don't know what they're going to do. We were talking about this before we came in to record this episode of FCP. But maybe they get rid of Russell Westbrook. There's a lot of reshaping they need to do. Maybe you get rid of Scott Brooks, because this is the second year in a row that they've lost out in the conference finals. And then, 3 years ago, they lost out in the NBA finals to the Miami Heat.
I look at Westbrook's stat line in the final game 6 against the Spurs. He is, 8 for 23?
Something like that.
Come on, those shots should go to Durant.
Exactly. He's a point guard. He should be distributing the ball. As a point guard, you're leading your team. You have to have that pass-first mentality. And Westbrook, a lot of people call him West Brick. I like the guy. I like him as a player, but sometimes he lives up to that nickname.
Yeah, but he does have his clutch moments.
Oh, of course he does.
What about Rondo for Westbrook trade?
Rondo for Westbrook? That would be fun to see Kevin Durant work with Rajon Rondo, and then you see Russell Westbrook. I don't know how he would do in Boston, though.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. Rondo said yesterday that he wants to be a Celtic for life.
I respect that so much. I love players that they stick with that one team for their entire career. Reggie Miller, the reason why I'm such a big Reggie Miller fan is because he stuck with the Pacers his entire career. I wish Michael Jordan had stayed with the Bulls and never gone to the Wizards, because I think Michael Jordan's run with the Wizards was absolute garbage. No offense to the great one.
It was really weird.
I think he should have just stayed in Chicago, and it would have been a great way to go out. Had he gone out after hitting that game winner against Utah, that would have been a way to go out to end your career. That would have been insane.
Now on to Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher, you said Russell Westbrook, he has clutch moments. Derek Fisher, he's known for his clutch shots, you know?
But that was, 5-10 years ago?
5-10 years ago. He's getting up there in age.
For the life of me, I don't understand how he's still getting minutes in the NBA, especially for a contender like the Thunder.
Exactly, a team that went to the Western Conference Finals. And Derek Fisher, how old do you think he'd be? He's close to 40?
He's probably 45.
Derek Fisher is actually 39 years old, so he's actually turning 40 later on this summer on August 9th. But there are rumors that he could be the next coach for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, as long as he's not playing anymore, he should honestly just hang it up.
I think so. He's had a good run. He's a multiple-time NBA champion. He's left his mark on this league. I think it's a good time to hang up the boots, because he's someone, we talk about Tim Duncan, who still has the skills like he did back when he was in his prime, because you could say Tim Duncan almost still is in his prime. He's still putting up those strong numbers. Derek Fisher, he's way past his prime. He's around the same age as Tim Duncan, but he can't play like Tim Duncan. He can't produce like he did 10 years ago.
Yeah, and you were saying something about him and the Knicks?
Yeah, there's rumors that he might actually be joining the Knicks as a head coach sometime in the future. And I'm just looking up an article right now. The New York Knicks have actually been fined $25,000 for tampering because Phil Jackson, he made some comments about Derek Fisher potentially joining the team, something like that.
Yeah, what is that, like 25 cents to the Knicks?
Yeah, it's definitely not a lot of money. It's funny when you see these fines in the NBA, these big amounts, $5,000. That's nothing to these players and these organizations, because they're bringing in the big bucks. That's just pocket change to them.
Yeah, but if he goes to the Knicks, coaches that team, good luck to him coaching Melo and all those.
Oh boy, the Knicks are just too dysfunctional. They need to just exterminate that team, completely reshape that roster, because I don't know what they got to do to make things work in New York. They have some good players. There's a lot of attitude issues, and they just don't gel together. There are a bunch of different puzzle pieces that don't fit together, you know?
Yep. Go from 50-plus wins last season to, 20-something wins this season?
Something very low, a very small number, not a strong showing at all this season from the Knicks. Now, we did mention the Thunder. We're talking about OKC. I want to do a little fantasy matchup thing. This is a fun little game. I want to do Kevin Durant, league MVP star of the OKC Thunder, versus Vince Carter. Now, the reasoning behind this is because there are a lot of rumors that once KD becomes a free agent, he could actually join the Toronto Raptors, because as a kid, his favorite team was Toronto, and his favorite player was Vince Carter. Who do you think takes that battle? I'm not talking Vince Carter now. I'm talking Vince Carter in his prime versus Kevin Durant, who is currently in his prime.
I think with Durant's size, he's got it.
He's got the advantage there, just the size. He is, he's got way more length than Carter. Carter's a way more explosive dunker.
Yeah, but how about this fantasy matchup? I feel like they're around the same kind of player right now. I'll say Durant as well, against Dominique Wilkins.
Durant, you brought this up the other day when we were playing NBA 2K14, and you just swept me in our series. That was not a fun night for me.
5 wins, actually. You got 1?
5-1.
I believe you got the first win.
I got the first win off a buzzer beater from Reggie Jackson of the Oklahoma City Thunder. But yes, going back to Durant and Wilkins, yeah, you could compare the two, because a lot of people compared Vince Carter to a Dr. J or to a Dominique Wilkins, because they're considered human highlight reels, if you will. I think that's Dominique versus Kevin Durant in their primes. I got to go with Kevin Durant on this one.
Yeah, I'd say so too, but I don't know, like they're both even to me. It's really hard.
All on the same page.
I feel bad for Wilkins. Him never winning that championship.
He's one of the greatest players.
Such a good player.
He's one of the greatest players of all time. Never won a championship. Just like someone like John Stockton and Karl Malone. They're two of the best that have never won a ring.
And Durant never wins a championship. Imagine that.
If Durant never wins a championship, he might in fact be the best player to never win a championship.
Yeah,
and even Allen Iverson's in that category as well. He never won an NBA championship.
Yeah, for sure.
Won league MVP just like Durant, but he never won an NBA championship. It's very tough right there. But just quickly back to Vince Carter versus Durant. You say Durant. I'm going with Carter, just a personal preference, because I love Vince Carter. He's one of my all-time favorite players. I would gladly welcome him back to Toronto. But I get your points. When it comes to Dominique Wilkins versus Durant, I'm going with Durant right there. And I think my biggest reasoning there is because Durant is more advanced because he's playing in this day and age. Basketball was way different back when Dominique was playing. I think Durant, he's stronger, faster, and he could do a lot more.
Yeah, but I don't know. Wilkins, he played in an era where it was so physical. I don't know. Could Durant pull that off? I don't know.
That's a good point to make because the league isn't as physical as it used to be. It's not as rough and tough as they say.
You could push a player back in the day and you wouldn't get fouled.
It's something very interesting. You know, we're going to have to chalk this up to NBA 2K14, have ourselves a fantasy matchup this weekend.
So how about those Pacers?
Yeah, we're talking about Western Conference. Let's switch to the Eastern Conference. Pacers, what are they going to do during the offseason? What do you think?
Larry Bird, actually, yesterday, he said he wants to re-sign Stephenson.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's a big surprise because there's a lot of controversy surrounding Lance Stephenson, especially blowing in LeBron's ear. All these crazy jokes people have made about Lance Stephenson and his immature behavior during the Eastern Conference Finals. He's a good player, but we talked about this last week, his attitude. I'm surprised that Larry Bird would want to re-sign him with the attitude he's got.
You know, I can see in possibly 10 years or so a documentary being made about this Pacers team. They were so good. 33-7 they started the season.
The Pacers were the best team in the Eastern Conference. You know, one of the best. Were they the best team in the league? Did they have the best record?
No, Spurs.
The Spurs had the best record. That's correct. So they were the best team in the Eastern Conference, and then they just fell apart during the playoffs. Like, they fell apart.
They imploded.
You know, 7 games in the first round to Atlanta? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous, and it's unacceptable for a team that finished first place in the conference.
Yep, so watch out for that 30 for 30 documentary in 10 years.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching it. So we're talking about the Pacers. You mentioned Lance Stephenson. I want to bring something up. We've talked about wrestling before on Full Court Press. This is something that happened on the June 2nd episode of Monday Night Raw. Damien Sandow, the intellectual savior of the masses, one of my favorite superstars. He's been getting kind of buried lately, so I think the WWE needs to step up and book him properly. But he's doing a lot of joke gimmicks and out there cutting these promos dressed as different characters. They were in Indianapolis Monday Night Raw. So Damien Sandow comes out dressed up as Lance Stephenson. He's wearing the Stephenson jersey. He's holding the basketball. He's doing the whole show, putting the ball through his legs.
What was he saying? I missed that part about it.
He was just insulting the Pacers. He was insulting Lance. He claimed that he was Lance Stephenson, but then he insulted the team. And it's funny, Chris Copeland was actually in the audience, Chris Copeland of the Pacers.
Yeah, I saw that.
They kept on showing the shots of him. He just looked so ticked off. And he's like, man, don't insult my teammate.
And then Big Show came out.
Big Show came out because what else is Big Show going to do? The WWE doesn't know what to do with Big Show.
He's actually he played for Wichita State.
Wichita State? Yeah, no, Big Show, they mentioned that Big Show played collegiate basketball.
Yeah, for a really good program now. I don't know if they were back in the day, but
Wichita State these days, beasts.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Big Show, no big surprise that he played collegiate basketball. He's 7 feet tall. He's a monster. He's huge.
Fun fact, actually, if you're 7 foot in North America, you have a 17% chance of making the NBA.
Ooh, there's one of the fun facts. We're going to get to more fun facts later on in this episode, courtesy of the Nard Dog. I like that one. That's pretty cool. But I thought this whole promo with the Damien Sandow and Big Show, what you come to expect while watching Monday Night Raw. You see Damien Sandow come out. He's going to do joke segments like this. I thought it was well done. It was pointless in regards to the storylines going on in the wrestling world these days. It was kind of funny how he poked fun at Indiana. He's great on the microphone. He's a great actor. So it was a good little time filler. What did you think about the whole segment?
Well, I told you last night about a Big Show just coming in the ring and one punching him and he's knocked out.
Yeah, that's the Big Show for you.
And then you see that he's not, I don't know, he's not the champion.
Well, that's ridiculous WWE booking. I don't want to get too into detail because it says Full Court Press.
Yeah, we're getting too much into wrestling right now.
Exactly. Let's take a break from the wrestling. Let's go back to the basketball. Let's talk about our favorite trios in NBA history. Just jumping over to that. You suggested we do this. I love this idea. Who's your favorite 3-man squad in NBA history that you can think of?
I'll go back to the early 90s. The Charlotte Hornets, and their trio was Muggsy Bogues, the smallest player in NBA history at 5'3".
Ooh.
Larry Johnson, Grandmama. He was a first overall pick. And Alonzo Mourning. It's a really good duo.
Yeah, that's a solid big 3. I'm going to have to go. Of course, there's the classic Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. I like that trio. I'm going to go a little more recent with the Boston Celtics back. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. Now, of course, this was before Ray Allen betrayed Boston, went to Miami. You know what? I've forgiven Ray Allen for now. I'm a fan of his. And this is also before Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce betrayed the city of Boston and went over to Brooklyn. I'm not fans of Kevin Garnett or Paul Pierce anymore. I've lost the majority of the respect that I had for them. Ray Allen, he's cool with me.
Gutless.
I know, but that's the thing. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Garnett anymore. I think he's just a dirty player.
Oh, man, Kevin Garnett, don't even get me started.
Paul Pierce can still play. He's a much better player these days than Kevin Garnett is. I still have some respect for Paul Pierce, but I don't necessarily like the guy. I love that roster, though. I love that three-man squad right there. And, of course, their fourth guy was Rajon Rondo back when he was, a little bit younger in his early days of his NBA career. I love that trio. When they won the NBA championship a couple years ago and Garnett yelled out, "Anything is possible," you know what? Let's get a clip of that right now.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible!
That was one of my favorite moments in basketball history. Garnett yelling that out, finally achieving a dream. Himself, Paul Pierce, and Rajon Rondo and Ray Allen picking up an NBA championship. It's amazing. Another good trio that I absolutely love, Jason Kidd, Jason Terry, and Dirk Nowitzki.
I don't know if you can say Terry. I'd say Sean Marion.
Throw Sean Marion in there?
Now back to another trio. You'll like this one. Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, and Marion.
Oh, Phoenix Suns.
Oh, man, even the early 2000 Sacramento team, Weber, Bibby, and Stojakovic.
Or even Doug Christie, alternatively.
Yeah.
You can throw his name in there. And going back to the Mavericks, Dirk, Michael Finley, and Steve Nash.
Oh, man.
There's a lot of great trios out there.
There's a lot.
It's tough to narrow it down. I know you got your Hornets set because I know you love the old school Charlotte Hornets, and I know you're super happy about
I wish
their
that
comeback.
team stuck together. I think they only played 3 seasons together.
It should have been longer. That would have been amazing to see what they could do.
And I actually have a Alonzo Mourning Hornets jersey and a Larry Johnson Hornets jersey.
You just need Muggsy's jersey now.
Those $10 Champions outlet jerseys. Oh,
Well, let's go find a Muggsy Bogues jersey after we're done this episode. That's the mission for the day.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I want to switch it up from the NBA. Let's go over to the league, the National Basketball League of Canada.
Yeah, tell me about this news.
Yeah, there's some big news going on. Craig Hodges. We're talking about three-man trios. I mentioned Chicago Bulls, Rodman, Pippen, Michael Jordan. Craig Hodges, former Chicago Bull. He played in the NBA for over 10 years.
And he won a three-point contest.
He did. He had a lot of success in the league. He's been re-signed by the Halifax Rainmen of the National Basketball League of Canada.
What an awesome move.
Oh, no, it's a great move. He's their head coach, and it's funny because he joined the team last December after the team came out of the gates 0-6. A very rough start for the Halifax Rainmen. I have a soft spot for the Rainmen because, as you all know, my nickname is Raindrops, Rainmen. There's that relationship right there, right out of the gate. So they had a rough start to the season, but then Hodges joined the team, and they finished the remainder of the regular season 16-28. Even though that's not the best record, they managed to advance to the league semifinals. Now, they lost out 4-2 to the Island Storm, who went on to lose to the Windsor Express in the NBL Canada Finals. But a great showing. I think Craig Hodges is a good fit for this roster. They got a lot of young guys on the team. He's a veteran. He's got the experience, and I think he's perfect to lead the squad. And I see good things in the future for them. David, what do you think about Craig Hodges being re-signed with the Halifax Rainmen as their head coach?
I think it's great. He led them to an awesome season.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they went, like I said, they went to the conference semifinals, even though they only finished 16-28 after he joined the team. Very strong showing from the Halifax Rainmen. Another team that I'm a big fan of is the Mississauga Power, of course, very close to my heart.
Obviously.
Because, they're close in proximity. I've been to a bunch of their games. I've talked to a lot of the players. Really nice guys. They actually just recently released the list of their protected players. Now, what protected players are is that the team signs these guys and they kind of have them locked in and they can decide whether they want to trade them or if they want to keep them for the next season. Now, there's a lot of great players that the Mississauga Power were able to re-sign, one of them being Morgan Lewis, who was their leading scorer at 17.2 points per game, and he led them in rebounds as well at 7.6 rebounds. Now, the other guys that they've protected are Superman Alex Johnson, Kirk Williams Jr., who was the sixth man of the year, Bo Harris, Mark Gamilia, and Josh A. Rocket. Very strong moves from the Mississauga Power because we've been to a bunch of games. We've seen these guys play, and they could definitely play ball. Very important assets to the Mississauga Power.
A lot of talent in that league.
Oh, for sure. I absolutely love the National Basketball League of Canada. We've had a lot of players on the show. We had Lance Stephenson a few episodes ago. Real treat to talk to him. A lot of fun, this league. And speaking of the Mississauga Power, season tickets are now on sale. So I just want to say, if you guys go pick up your season tickets, check out a couple of games next year for the Mississauga Power. Any team that you can see in the National Basketball League of Canada around the country is an incredible league, like the Nard Dog said, full of talent. For Mississauga Power season tickets, just go to powerbasketball.ca and you can pick them up right there. It's as simple as that. Now, that's local basketball. Another player who's in the NBA, he plays for the Orlando Magic. We mentioned him earlier, Andrew Nicholson. We had him on the show. Real treat talking to him.
Such an honor.
Oh, it was amazing. What'd you think of this interview?
I think it was well done.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Nard Dog, it was on you. I'm giving you the props for this one. You were the one who got in contact with Andrew, so thank you for getting this interview. If you didn't hear last week's episode, you can check it out on mixcloud.com. Just type in Full Court Press on the search bar. But if you did, and you want to know more about Andrew Nicholson's basketball camp, but you just forgot the address you got to go to, you go to 44hoops.com, and all the information's there. You could sign up for the basketball camp. All the info is on that website. That's 44hoops.com. Go check it out. We've talked about a lot, Nard Dog. How do you feel right now? I'm kind of exhausted from all the things we've covered.
Oh, we're not done yet.
Oh, certainly, because guess what time it is? It's time for, drumroll please, Random Facts brought to you by the Nard Dog.
Manu Bol, before he started his NBA career, the 7'7", the tallest player in the NBA history, killed a lion with his bare hands.
Wait, what? You said killed,
Yes,
and I was like, how are you finishing that sentence, Bernardi? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that? Him killing a lion?
And I'd imagine his hands are huge.
I don't know how you kill a lion with your bare hands.
And I'm sure you know Latrell Sprewell.
Of course. I love Latrell Sprewell. That guy was awesome.
Well,
Even though he got himself into a lot of trouble.
a few years ago, he turned down $21 million.
From who? From the Knicks?
Yep. Claiming it wasn't enough to feed his family.
Claiming that $21 million was not enough to feed his family. What is he the guy from Starbucks and Delivery Man? Does he have over 500 kids? Like, what?
And what happened to his career was he never played another NBA game and he became bankrupt.
Classic Latrell Sprewell. No offense, Spree, but come on, dude. $21 million, you don't refuse that. What's the next fact, sir?
This last one is really weird and strange, but I'll just let you know. Hall of Famer Pete Maravich, at the age of 26 in 1974, said in an interview, "I don't want to play just 10 years in the NBA and die of a heart attack at 40. What happens?
He died of a heart attack at 40, didn't he?
Yep, he ended up playing an NBA career for 10 years and then died at the age of 40 of a heart attack in a pickup game.
Oh, man, I've read about Pistol Pete's story. It's absolutely terrifying to think about that. It's almost like he predicted his own fate. He predicted the future.
That's such a coincidence, you know?
It is very strange. Very interesting facts. Thank you so much for those, Nard Dog. Anything else you want to add before we close the show out?
The weather's nice outside, so get your basketball and go outside and have some fun. Play with your buddies. Have a time.
Words of wisdom from the Nard Dog. He's right. Go outside, shoot some hoops. We want to thank you all so much for listening, as always. As I've mentioned many times in this episode, if you want to catch previous episodes of Full Court Press, you just got to go to mixcloud.com and type in Full Court Press on the search bar. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at JustinGoulet21. And Nard Dog, of course, you've got Twitter, correct?
Yes, it's at the Nerd Dog 88. That's with 2 G's at the end.
The Nard Dog 88 with 2 G's. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Keep the basketball movement alive and strong. You're all amazing, and we will catch you all next week.
Cheers.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dog, and Raindrops Goulet.